Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Instagram Story School. We're going to go through some of the basics of how Instagram stories work, how to get the most out of it, and how to lift some of your content on Instagram and indeed the stories sections on Facebook as well in a way that really brings your business forward and adds a little bit of fun to everything. We'll get underway right away. There's quite a few people joining us this afternoon, so thank you for being as prompt as you have been. This will be recorded and placed at Business Station's YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, look up Business Station, and you'll see a whole list of all the ASBAS Digital Solutions, General Business Advisory and Digital Solutions webinars that are available there for you to view again. This will be up there in about 2 days' time. Usually it takes about 2 days just to edit out all my mistakes and try to make me look a little bit better than when I come through on the screen as sometimes. My name's Dante. I'll be taking you through today a little bit about me. I work with Facebook's Australia and New Zealand Lead Trainer program, which is a bunch of us, 7 of us in Australia, 2 in New Zealand. And before COVID-19, we traveled around Australia a lot, delivering stories and like this and programs like this, all kinds of places. So as part of the bushfire relief, drought relief, and just in general to regional areas around Australia. So this is a chance to get to see it if you don't get to see these, say if you're in Perth, Brisbane, some of our bigger cities, and you didn't get to see these last year. This is an updated version. And if you are an Australian business, I'm assuming you are, it is the ASBAS Digital Solutions Program we're doing this through. You can actually join a group that is a dedicated group that's full of local Facebook staff, local Facebook trainers like myself, and we can help you out with many of your Facebook and Instagram for business issues. So if you're stuck on an issue that you can't quite get past, myself, the 6 other trainers will be in there, as well as staff from Facebook Australia and New Zealand. And a bunch of other small businesses will be able to jump in and hopefully help you out those questions and answers that you've got. We're a little bit behind today because we've had a bit of a meeting today, so we're a couple of hours behind a couple of those messages, but I'll be tapping away a little later tonight in that group if you'd like to join me. So as Instagram Story School is getting underway, we're looking at to help bring you closer to those things and people that you love, especially when it comes to business. In fact, Instagram stories are all about bringing Instagram to life in a far more serious way than, say, the most beautiful photos. This is very personal. It's very real, very interactive. It's where you can take a story from anywhere in your life, whether that's, in this case, putting a jetpack on a very talented basketball player, or whether it's adding, puppy dog ears to someone who's having a bit of fun there. It's a way of finding the stories in your everyday life as a person, but as a business as well, and more specifically as business. In fact, stories are quite powerful as a business tool, and we'll show you how. Because they become full screen, you'll be able to use the whole real estate on a mobile phone. And we know these days that well over 80% of the traffic that's coming through to even our websites, not just on Facebook and Instagram, is on mobile phones. It's ephemeral, which in real person's language just means it's here today and gone tomorrow. It's only temporary content. So it encourages you to keep creating, keep delivering, and encourages people who are participating in stories and reading them and seeing them and viewing them to look at them as that ephemeral art form as well, something which is entertaining and they can keep coming back for more. It's short, it's sharp, it's easy to deliver, it's playful, as you see over on the right. It's kind of authentic because it's about people. More than anything else, stories about people. Most of the stories you see are about people and their interactions, or businesses, but not pictures of what's on a shelf. It's more about the people in the business and the customers of that business. Most of all, it's really interactive. It allows you to do things like vote. It allows you to like. It allows you to comment. It allows you to choose an A or a B, or even to interact with augmented reality videos like this one from Jurassic Park and Jurassic World as well. There's a lot of stuff you can do. There's a lot of filters that are available. And no doubt you've seen some of these. So let's get underway. So when it comes to stories, and the difference between them and, say, the Instagram feed, there's certain things that stories lends itself to more than, say, the feed does. Now, we all know the feed very well. The Instagram feed is a place where the very best stuff is presented. It's a place where your most curated stuff is presented. Instagram stories is a bit more rough, a bit more raw, a bit more authentic and real. And it tends to be very, very here today and gone tomorrow. That funny E word, ephemeral, just basically means that here 1 minute, gone the next. So if you want to get information about what friends are doing right now, Instagram stories across many countries that were surveyed about this were found to be the most effective way to do that. To see things that were unfiltered and authentic, again, Instagram stories were the place as opposed to the Instagram feed. Funny and playful content, very much. That's Instagram stories, real home base. But if you're looking to find out information about a product or a business, 70% say that's probably in the Instagram feed. In fact, that's where they'd expect to find it. Discovering a brand new product they've never seen before, that's something, again, you'd expect to see in the Instagram feed rather than in Instagram stories. Or even discovering a brand or a business they've never dealt with before, they've never heard of before, they're expecting to find that more so in the Instagram feed rather than in stories. Stories are the place where you go to interact with the people you already follow, you already love them, you already know them, and the brands you already know and you love as well. So this little split down here kind of gives you an idea of where you may address your attention when it comes to Instagram stories or the Instagram feed. If you're looking to get new information out of a new product, a new brand, even you as a new business, then the feed is the best place to introduce that. But if you're looking to interact more with the people who are already following you, if you want to connect even more deeply with them, then the stories part of Instagram is where that's a lot more appropriate to do. And it just seems to be where people prefer to have those interactions as well. Stories are not a real fad. They've been around a while now, and over 500 million people are using them actively every day, just on Instagram. If you look at then Facebook, it's another 300 million people. Some of those are the same people. And if you didn't notice that stories have popped up in Facebook, that's a very easy thing to see, but they're also part of your Facebook Messenger platform as well. So if you're using messenger.com or you're using the Messenger app on your phone, you'll see that, that there's a stories access there too. People can post to their stories, not just on Facebook, but in Messenger as well. After all, Messenger is where you want to interact with your friends, and Messenger is a place where, you know, it just lends itself really well to what stories do, because you can see those personal stories from your friends, not just the stories from brands and stories from people who you're just connected to in a more loose way through Facebook or Instagram. Looking in the US, and very, very similar figures here in Australia too, 56% of users on average say they use stories on 3 or more places at least once a week. So those places being Instagram, Facebook, and Messenger, or in somewhere else as well. It doesn't have to be just on Facebook. It could also be on WhatsApp, which is part of the Facebook family of apps. And we all know kids who have got Snapchat, so it's another place where you'll see that similar stories angle as well. So it's a very, very common place to be using stuff, but it's also common that people will now produce content for those areas. You can see all sorts of fun stuff. You can see, you know, adding animal filters to yourself, but how exactly does the whole Instagram stories thing work if it feels really, really alien to you? When it comes to the ads that are in stories, you can see a bit around that. Like, it's in videos of 15 seconds or a still video, a still image of 5 seconds. So what that means is that if you're producing an ad in stories, you've got 15 seconds of video. Any longer than that, and it will need to be split up into, say, 2 15 seconds to form a 30-second story. And when it comes to still images, a 5-second still image, perhaps you can have more of those. In fact, you see that things perform better when they are more than just that one image, or more than that, just that one video. In fact, you can think of stories as, yes, exactly, a story with individual chapters, and your chapters are those extra ones you will do. On the right, you'll see where it's got 3 cards and there's a progression bar at the top. The ability to produce episodes, if you like, in your story, or chapters in your story, is what makes it a story, really. A story is more than just one picture. They say a picture says 1,000 words, but you imagine 3 different Instagram stories could tell 1,000,000 words just by what's in it and what you're trying to get across. You can hold to pause on anything in stories. Just hold it if you want to read more or see more detail on what it actually is there. you can click through to the profile picture and the profile of that person or that business that's been putting through that. And this is in both ads and on the feed, on the regular profiles that are posting to stories as well. You can tap back on the left, tap forward on the right if you want to fast forward to the next one. And what I love is the ability to swipe up to link when it comes to the ads in Instagram stories. If you wanted to have a swipe up to link in a story from your Facebook page, you do need to have more than 10,000 followers on your Instagram account to automatically qualify for that. So once you hit that 10,000 mark, Facebook and Instagram will invite you to add the learn more links, or one of the many that could be a book now, it could be a contact us, it could be, learn more, get showtime, sign up, watch more, get offer, or subscribe to, say, a MailChimp newsletter. So you can do all that if you've got 10,000 or more who are following your account, or you can then, if you don't have that yet, you can actually add that function as a paid ad when you're advertising through the Instagram story space. So let's take a little bit of a look at what some businesses and brands are doing on Instagram stories right now. They're doing stories that inspire. They're doing stories that entertain people. There's stories out there that inform people of information they need to know. Some excellent stories in this COVID-19 era of people showing, how you can avoid hotspots, how you can get more information, how you can do the right thing when it comes to protecting yourself and others. And there's also those stories that educate, the stories that are designed to teach you something. This is very much like the kind of content that you'll be putting into any social media, onto your website even. You think about it, when you're writing a blog entry, you'll be writing about stories that are inspirational or entertaining or informational or educational in some way. What you put onto your Facebook account or your LinkedIn profile will be, stories that inspire, entertain, inform, or educate. So it's not like there's anything new in terms of content that's going in here. The only thing that's new is the platform you're able to use and the tools within that platform that you can use to produce content that is really, really compelling and really is a lot of fun. And of course, when it comes down to Instagram stories, we want to know about how we can get creative in it. And when it comes to creativity, using the format of speed, so fast forward, fast rewind, boomerangs that go fast forward and fast back, that kind of thing is really, really commonly used as a creative tool. We've all seen, things called hyperlapse, which is a way of getting, speeding through 5 minutes of travel journey in just, 15 seconds. They're kind of fun to watch. I particularly like the ones where they're cooking. If you see like someone cooking a cheesecake, you see them fast forward the entire process of cooking a cheesecake in just 15, 30, 60 seconds, whereas that could take hours for them to do. If it takes hours, they're probably not doing it quite right. I made a cheesecake the other night. Seriously, it took me about 30 minutes. So when it comes to other creative things, using multiple scenes, not just having that one story coming through. A story is made up of multiple chapters, or it's made up of perhaps even multiple pieces. So having more than one thing come up, having 2, 3, 5, as many as you like during the day. You don't want to get too many, because as you saw when we saw the bars at the top, the progress bars, that once you have more than about 6 of those, the progress bars get really small and almost like dots. And it's really difficult for someone to go backwards and forwards easily through those progress bars or to see where they are. In some cases, you might see an influencer who has posted so much stuff in one day that it's literally going to take you forever to get through their stuff. So all you're doing is fast forwarding your way, tap, 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 just to get rid of their stuff so you can see the next story from the next person. So be very aware that not everybody is as fascinated with your story, every 5 seconds of your story, as you are. So be very aware that give people time to appreciate what you're doing, but maybe don't overwhelm them. Using sound, now this is not really that recommended when it comes to mobile phones, but in stories, sound is a very big deal. Yes, you'll originally build things for sound off when it comes to Instagram on the feed and Facebook on the feed as well, but for stories, they tend to be a place where people are used to viewing with sound on, much like TikTok. If you've got kids or yourself even that use TikTok and Snapchat, sound is very much a part of the experience. Likewise with stories, adding sound to it adds an added layer of relevance and an added layer of interactivity, and also adds extra life to what you're presenting as well. People who watch stories expect sound. And the idea of here is bookending with your brand basically means, making sure there's a mention or some sort of, something to do with your brand or your business name at the beginning and the end. Start with your business name, go into your story, end with your business name. So you're able to produce something that has your brand solidly locked into it and solidly relevant to it as well. And then, of course, play. That's what Instagram stories are all about. They're about playing. They're about the ability for you to experiment, do something different, do something a little crazy. Put on a filter on your face, put some sparkles around, draw some squiggles around yourself, do whatever it takes just to have a little bit of fun. Remember, Instagram stories are not forever. They're here today and gone tomorrow. So if you make something which you go, oh, that's embarrassing, it's only going to last 24 hours. And ultimately, you can delete a story anyway. We'll show you a bit more about that soon. So coming back onto our stories, let's get our actual story school underway. Now, this is where you can get out your phone and have a bit of a play as you're going along. Look at the areas that I'm pointing you to. You don't have to, this is one school that you don't have to put away your mobile phone. Nod along and enjoy what you're learning. Have a bit of a play. There's no mistakes to be made here. You're not going to wreck anything. And of course, have fun. This is what it's all about, making sure you have as much fun as you can. I'd be following on your phone as well, but I've got a PowerPoint presentation to run. But trust me, what I'm going to bring up to you here is the sort of stuff I love to do in stories as well, particularly when it comes to things like drawing and using text and pointing people to the funnier side of life in my business, which is often something which needs to be laughed at because it's a very stressful job sometimes, just like yours. Let's have a bit of an orientation around the Instagram screen, and we'll see where the story stuff is. So up at the top there, where you see those balls, the orbs or the circles, are giving you an idea of where your story sits and where everyone else's stories sit. So if you were to tap on the one that says you would see what your current story is. If you tap on any of the ones that have got someone else's name against it, you'll then see their latest story as well. And often when people post 3 or 4 things at once, you might see a series of their stories before it moves on to the next one. So in this case, if you tapped on Della first, then Ania Kopian will come up next, and then Kelly Snyder, then followed by Rachel Bajolski. So you'd be seeing those stories in a sequence from the left to the right. And your normal feed, of course, is down the bottom, and you can operate in any of those areas. Now, we'll be seeing a lot of changes coming to Instagram and Facebook in the coming years. We're expecting, because of the uptake of stories, that actually might take more of the screen. You'll see 2 rows or perhaps even 3 rows of stories before you'll see something from the feed as well. So that could be a change that's coming soon. Look, hopefully it does happen, because quite honestly, it's the stories that are far more entertaining than the feed images. You can see the stories camera is up on the top left-hand side. So you tap on the little camera, and that gets you started on the act of making a story, of recording the stuff that comes into your story. And then on the right, you've got direct messages where people can send messages through to you on Instagram, and you can answer them as well. If you've got a Facebook page, you'll also notice if you've connected your Facebook page with your Instagram profile, that you're able to answer and see, you can see the interactions you've had through your direct messages in there as well. So what people know, if you're using your Facebook Messenger app, you can actually go into your Facebook Messenger app on the top left-hand side, tap on your own photo, and then it gives you the chance to swap between your Facebook you and the Facebook pages that you interact as well. So finally, they've brought that in where you can, on Facebook Messenger itself, flick quickly between your messages and the messages for the pages that you run as well. Doing a lot of talking today, so I'm going to be drinking a lot of water as we go along just to keep my throat working. Then we've got a lot of other areas when you go into a story. So let's just say we've clicked on the camera and we've gone in to create our first story. Up on the top left, we've got the story settings, which is the little gears. Down the bottom, you can see that there is our album, which contains the most recent things that are on our camera roll that we've taken photos or videos of. So we can insert them into a story. You don't have to record here and now. You can insert something you've already got on your phone. The flashes per usual when it comes to using a camera. You can use different camera effects such as boomerang, super zoom, which is fun. Allows you, that thing that a lot of kids do. I keep saying kids because I don't do it that much, but I know kids actually do. And they're able to go through, and even go live. So from this camera part of Instagram, you can go live, you can boomerang, which is the backwards and forwards, and use super zoom, which allows you, after a couple of seconds of focusing on something, it super zooms into that particular item so you can see it up close. And a lot of people do that when their pets are mucking up or their kids is mucking up. They'll super zoom into their kid to go, what are you doing? Particularly cute with pets. I really love it when they do that with pets. It doesn't seem so creepy. You can tap in the middle one for your still photos, or tap and hold to produce a video, much the same as you would do with the rest of Instagram. You can flip around the camera, so you're not using the one in the back, you're using the one coming forward. And you can use face filters as well. So on the right, face filters are really fun. They're the things that put puppy dog ears on you and turn you into the Easter Bunny and put unicorn horns on top of your head. All those kind of fun things are all part of the face filters at the bottom right. As you're going through and you're making your particular story, top left-hand side lets you delete. So you can always go, oh, that's not really what I wanted to do. I'm not going to put that out. So you can delete it and start again. You can add text, add drawing, add stickers on the top there. The stickers are really fun. They allow you to add things like temperatures, locations of where you are, or even hashtags. You can put in your own hashtag if you have one for your business. And then you can also go and send that story to an individual person down the bottom right, or send it out to your feed as well. You can make it part of your ongoing story that's to the public. It's quite funny sometimes to send it through to mum and dad if they're using Instagram, and give them a bit of a laugh as well. Or you can just tap on your story at the bottom left, just on the second from the left, to give you an idea of whether you can then just send it out to your public story rather than having to send to an individual. The save content is going to come in really, really handy for you when it comes to wanting to take that content and put it somewhere else. If you want to take a story and put it on their Facebook feed, if you want to take a story, put it on Snapchat story, put it onto TikTok, you can do all of that. You can do some of your production in here and then download it for use somewhere else on another mobile platform. It's always very useful if you want to produce in one particular place and then use that same story and that same recording in other places around the internet. So what they call the freshman year, so American, let's just call it primary school. We're going to look at adding text and a bit of color to your Instagram story. So with the basic text, you can essentially take a photo of anything you like and then tap the text tool, and it allows you to then add words on there. You can, welcome to Story School, and add that into onto the cover of the book or anywhere in there. And once you've actually got that text, you're able to do a little bit with it. So you can then, tap it into any particular place you want to on there. It can be on the paper bit, it can be on the timber bit. You can swipe right or left to select from a few different options that are around, an effect or a filter that's on the photo you just took. You can play with the text size. This is really good because the text might come through as a little bit too big for you, or it may be a little bit too small. So this allows you through text size to just do that, exactly what you said there, but you do that with a pinching. You pinch to zoom in and pinch to zoom out. Well, you can do that with a text size. So if you put your thumb and your finger just on the text and then stretch it out to make it bigger, or stretch it in to make it smaller, then you'll get that size you want to actually get it to make. And then if you want to align the text, say in center or left aligned or right aligned, up on the top left-hand side as you're in the text, you can then change where that sits. So if you're someone who's very, very strict about making things left aligned because it's a lot more accessible and easy for people to read, then yep, do that. Or if you prefer yours to be centered because that's the way you're designing your story, hey, default is the word I'm looking for. It'll default to center aligned, but you can change that to left, right, or justified at any time you like. Now, if you tap on your text, it'll give you the option also to change the color of that text. So you can then go, here's a basic palette that you've got, and you slide backwards and forwards through the palette to get to the color you want to do. Most of the colors you're going to find are in there. But if you'd like a custom color that's based on something that's in your story, so if you've taken a photo of something that had the color of your logo in it, and you must have your text having your logo color in it, what you can do is tap on the color palette and then drag, so the far left of the color palette, you can tap on that and then drag it around your story to the point where the color is that you want to get. So in this case, they've gone to a point on that story, on the part of the photo on there that's got pink, and they've transferred that pink onto there. In this case, they've also gone into an extended color palette, which is a spectrum, and they've selected exactly the story color they want to have. You can use the color eyedropper. This is the one which is more about, you know, selecting a color from the screen somewhere. So they want to select the color from that background or from the pen color. See them going over it? And that allows you then to pick the colors that are very specific to your brand, if that's something that's really important to you. Particularly if you're very, very brand conscious and you've gone a lot of time and a lot of trouble to set where your brand colors are and what your logo is, that could be really important to you. And you can add what we call color blocking, and this helps makes text stand out a little bit more. So if you point onto the text you just typed, so they're going to do here, you tap that text and hold it. It will then fill it in and give you the option to put background on it. So it really does stand out and pop on your story. So you don't then have to worry about it not showing through a very, very busy background when you can have a background on it that just helps it pop out. So you've got to highlight text, not just the color of the text. So it gives you a lot of options to be able to do some really basic stuff with your text. But of course, that's not all it does with text. There's a few other features as well. You can add a gradient to your text. So let's have a look at what the gradient will do. So let's just say we've got our text in there. We select all that text. So you tap on the text and hold until it says, yep, select all. So you make a selection. So you pick a color, then with another finger, you deselect, you go backwards and forwards of the text you do and don't want. So it's a bit fiddly. You're going to have to practice at this to make it work. But it allows you to put in a gradient over your text. If you want to do that, if you've got two colors that you gradient through as part of what your brand values and colors are, or perhaps you've got it set so that you've got a rainbow that you want to do. Now you can tap and hold any of these color swatches down the bottom, and they allow you to go, okay, I'm going to hold that one, and then it's going to allow me to, with my other finger, to deselect the text that I don't want to have as that color, and look, go across to where I want to end the color, and you've got green going through to pink. So you get some really cool little effects there, but just beware, I've done this before myself. If you've got big chunky sausage fingers like I do, it's a little harder to do it on the small screen. If you've got nice little dainty fingers, it's going to be so much easier for you to do this. So practice it a lot before you get it. And if you get really stuck on this one, there's plenty of tips in this in the Facebook blueprint and the Instagram business manual. So if you go Instagram business on Google, you'll find a lot of instructions on how to use this stuff in your stories. You can also deselect your text while moving. So if we're going to select all here, tap and hold the color you want, then drag it across with another finger to deselect that text. As it's going across, you're going across to the color you want to go to. So in this case, blue or green. And then you've got another effect of a gradient there. So just playing with those gradients, again, I'll repeat it, it's not going to be something you get the first time. It's going to be a little bit fiddly while you're trying to, because you're dealing with two fingers, sometimes three if you're trying to hold everything in place, and making sure you get those right color combinations. A little bit of fun just to add a little bit more color and a bit more life and a little bit more fun to your stories. So you can see someone doing this live now. So it's a little bit of an idea where you've got to use multiple, it's something you'll put down on a desk or on a surface to be able to do with two hands. It's the way it's going to work a lot easier. With my sausage fingers, it definitely works better that way. When I put it down on the desk and I just use my two fingers and drag things apart like that, that's when it seems to work the best way for me. So look at some ideas of how people have used some color and some like rewriting things that are already there. So they've put, you know, on the top here of I don't even know what that is on the far left, but they've taken what was on that tea bag label. I think it's a cup of tea in a plastic cup. Yes, it is. They've rewritten the tea label and put other words on it. And they've just used their fingers. So you take two fingers or the finger and thumb and hold the text and spin it around, and you can make it go in any sort of direction you want to. So it can be upside down, slightly to the right, slightly to the left, and then you can, once you've done that and you've got it to where you want it to go, you can then move it around the screen. If you're following my my video bit that you can see on the right, that you then move it around whilst you're holding those two fingers down. And that allows you to then not only swivel your text into the direction you want it to be, but then move it around the screen to wherever you need it to be, and then continue to then pinch it out to be able to make it bigger, pinch it in to be smoother, swivel it like that, or then move it around the actual screen itself. So it's really fun when I can do this with a second screen and I've actually got my phone hooked up to it. It makes it so much easier to show you exactly what's happening. And it's a lot of fun. Hopefully you're doing a little bit of this as you're going along too. The grading can be fun for doing things like, Pride Month at the moment. So you can, do the nom 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 in the colors of the rainbow cake, which is a really fun way to sort of express a little bit more. And then you can do like text stacking. If anyone who's ever used Canva, and I'm saying it's probably most of you, up until recently, they didn't have a drop shadow tool built in. So what you do in that case with that boom is they've done boom in blue first, then they've done boom in orange, and then they just play around with the position and the size of it. So it looks like the orange is using that blue as a drop shadow. So you've got that drop shadow effect, but it's a little bit more rough and a bit more fun and not quite so perfect. But I do believe that Canva has actually added, in some cases with some fonts, a drop shadow tool. So that's something you can do in Canva as well if you ever get a try. It's quite fun. You can add all sorts of stuff. In this case, very American basketball, but you could do that as much with the NRL or AFL players, or even with, a kid riding a bike for the first time. So we're going to go up a level now. We're going to call this maybe middle school, or the first year of high school. We're going to do a little bit of drawing. This is where we have some fun to turn everyday objects into something completely different. In this case, there's an apple on a desk and we're adding a worm into it, which is probably not what your teacher really wants to get. Adding some A+ there, drawing some grass down the bottom, just having some fun in general. Even those clouds at the top are all drawn onto this picture, which is a photo that was taken. So let's take a look at tapping the pen tool on the top, and then opens the option to different kinds of brushes. So you can choose your brush size and color when you touch that pen tool. When you go to create, now we're going to create a new one here. So just be aware, we're creating a brand new story. We're not using the one we had before. We select that brush size, and then the palette down the bottom will appear with the colors you want to select. So you can just flip left and right to get the color you want to use. And that gives you so everything basically you learn in the text about the color palettes and all that applies to the drawing of the drawing tools and the brushes and the pens as well. So it's not just the color palette for your text, it's the color palette for drawing with your finger as well. We're basically going to do the adult version of finger painting on your phone without the mess. So you can do things like undoing and erasing. There's an undo button that appears in the top left if you make a mistake while you're drawing. So if you go, oh, that's not the shape of the worm I wanted, you can hit undo and it goes back and lets you do that. So you essentially have erased it. There is an eraser tool as well that you can use. So you can, as you go through those tools at the top, there's like a magic wand that allows you to draw things that are glowing. So it's a glowing brush. So you can draw a halo around something, or in this case, the little lines around our little worm friend as he popped out. And there's also the eraser tool, which is the one just beside that. So if you go up the very top where you can see those 5 different brushes, first one's a pen, second one's a brush, third one's the neon tool, and the fourth one is your eraser. So you can take that and erase anything you've drawn from that picture as well. It's a really good way of sort of blocking things out that you've done before, that you might have made a mistake, or you didn't want to get rid of the whole thing you just drawn, just a part of it. That's how you can do that. Then you can use a highlighter brush, which allows you to, it's like using a highlighter on paper. So like using a highlighter pen to highlight text and go over the top of it in an assignment or something. It resembles a highlighter pen. So it has that little bit of see-through, that little bit of transparency. So you can draw on it like a highlighter and you can still see through what's behind it. The darker you go with that, obviously, the more it's going to fill, and the less transparent, less transparent it's going to be. So here's an example where we got the screen fill hack. This allows us to take a color and go over the top of the entire picture that we just did And then we can use the eraser tool to scrub out that. So I'm going to go back one because that's actually worth seeing again how that works. So you've got the highlighter brush. Watch this. So this screen fill hack is essentially choosing a color, tapping on the screen of the story and holding it in an area that doesn't have text or anything, and then it will fill with the color that you had selected. The whole screen will fill up with it. Then you got the top where the eraser brush is, and that lets you then unveil the bits that you want to show. So here's some examples of what they've done. They've done the text, they've done the hack on the left, which is just get that sort of that light skin tone to cover the entire screen. Then they removed on the left that bit to show the video that's going on behind it. So it looks like someone's quite literally jumping out of a nostril, which is kind of gross when I really think about it. Over in the caption contest bit, this is just where they've created a speech bubble by painting it on. And they've created multiple different parts of their story and then just put text in the speech bubble. So you text and classical things. Things are really fun stuff where people have actually taken, you know, bits of, say, like a photo of a celebrity that they wanted to share and use, and then be able to use that by drawing speech bubbles and adding text. It's kind of a fun way to do it. And then the final example here, you've got that one where it's Facebook, we're out here. We out here. Oh my goodness, that's terrible English, but it's American, so I won't blame them there. It's where you're able to write with your finger. So they're just written with their finger, and you can write over a blank screen with a Facebook logo in the background or whatever you want to put. Probably your own logo would probably be helpful in that one, I'd say. And it allows you to really sort of make your story your own and make it something very, very personal, your own design. In this case, the Crayola diet's showing where they've done different colors. So you do boomerang to make it go backwards and forwards. In this case, there's a forest of green behind it with very creepy looking guys in the background, where he's just done that screen fill, where he's filled it with white and then scrubbed out the little bits to create that flower effect. It's a bit of what we call motion pinning there, which we'll cover very, very shortly as well. Let's go up a grade to maybe 8th grade in high school, and we're going to look at stickers. My God, stickers, they are probably one of the most fun things you'll find because they are, well, they're kind of endless in their possibilities. They allow you to add things like the day of the week, the time of the day, hashtags that you can add on top if you've got a particular hashtag you want to connect with or you want to associate with. We've had obviously the BLM, the Black Lives Matter thing going on around the world lately, and the hashtag was really popular, so you could have added that into it. If your hashtag is, territory pride, or your hashtag is, Perth strong, if you want to get behind a cause, you can use those hashtags. Some of the interactive stickers include polls. So you can take a poll and actually ask a question. Do you want A or B? And people literally slide it across to B or slide it across to A or select one or the other just by tapping on it. It's a great way of doing a little bit of mini market research, asking your followers what it is that they actually enjoy. Those polls are incredibly popular, and people just can't seem to help to tap on them. They see something and go, is chocolate better or strawberry better? And someone's always got an opinion, so they want to tap on it. Whether they want to hold themselves back from that or not, they tend to do it. It's a way of adding that little bit more interaction to your followers to do a little bit more with your business. You might be selling 2 particular kinds of lipstick, and you go, do you like coffee dreams or do you like strawberries and cream? And they can choose between the coffee dreams and the strawberries and cream to see which one they like the best. There's some curated artist stickers which have come from artists that Instagram has partnered with, who've created particular cute little stickers you can put in there, love hearts and different characters and different kinds of characters and cartoons that can add a little bit more character to your particular story. Seasonal stickers for winter, summer, Christmas, Easter, New Year, you name it, St. Patrick's Day. There's a set of stickers that come around at that time of the year when that time of the year is coming up. So for instance, if there's a particular, in some cases in bigger cities, so the Brisbanes and the Perths, let's say more so than the Darwins, anything that comes up around about your show time, or whether it's was it West Australia Day, or if it's Queensland Day, things like that allow you to have specific curated artist stickers that come up for that, and seasonal stickers that come up for that. There's mood stickers, so you can say, yeah, nah, nope, yeet, it's lit, anything that's currently popular like that in elite speak from the youngsters. Emojis, the standard emojis, the poo emoji, the thumbs up, thumbs down, flags, if you want to put a flag on there. Now, obviously not every flag is there. So your Western Australian flag won't be there. The Queensland or the Northern Territory flag won't be there. But some of the flags that are coming along, you can get the gay pride flags on there. That's something you'd like to follow up on. And I believe there's very shortly adding to the library the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander flags, as well as, of course, the Australian flag in there too. So you can add stuff if you want to be patriotic, or if you want to look at a particular cause flag that you want to take part in. And then there's props, you can put a hat on yourself, the Viking helmet, you can put glasses, all sorts of little props that sit on your face and on your head, and sort of add it to a little bit more personality to a photo of yourself. To take a little bit here, if you tap on the sticker icon, which is the one that usually looks like a smiley face that's got the end that gets peeled up, and it gives you a huge lot of stickers. You can flip down and see more. In this case, they're putting New York City stuff. You can stick them around. You can also resize them. You can overlay one over the other. You just grab it, and then the one that you want to move around is the one that sticks on top. You can bring one in the front of the other. You can delete any of those stickers. So if you want to get rid of a sticker, you just simply tap on it. You can pull it over to the right or over down to the bottom, and it'll fall off the screen. Just tap and hold it, then drag it to where there's a trash icon at the bottom. So as you're hitting it, tap it, drag it down the bottom, and there's a little trash icon that comes up, a little garbage bin, and you're able to trash that particular sticker, and then you can go and pick another one if you wish to. So you can create lots of little scenes that create just so much more personality when it comes to how you're using your stories, rather than just simply talking to a camera. Why not add a Viking helmet? Because why not? You can add things like location, which is always fun. So most areas have got location. It will read the location of where your phone is and suggest something that's close by. You can add the time and weather. You can, the weather's really funny if it's really cold. I know that you poor folks in Brisbane have had some really cold mornings recently. So it's, I'm up in Dante. We're currently on the road in Catherine at the moment. It was really cold here this morning, but nothing compared to what you're getting in the southern states. Absolutely nothing like it. So you can add, fun stories of you just going, oh my goodness, it's cold. And then you can have like a little snow hat on you, a little beanie, and you can add the current temperature, probably about -2 where you are at that time of the morning if it's 4 a.m. And you can add that little bit of fun if you're trying to reach your particular followers in a way that's a little bit more standout than just simply posting a photo of a sunrise. Then you can add a little bit more personality to it through these stories. It's always fun to do because there's no right or wrong when it comes to that. You just play with what the people that you work with love. So as we go now to a bit of a higher level, this is a bit more complicated, but this can be stacks and stacks of fun. Something called motion pinning. Motion pinning allows you to do this thing. So bloke walks past, and as we want to make it so that as he walks past, something happens to that love icon, the heart icon. So as he's walking past, we want, as he reaches it, for that little heart icon to follow him. So this motion pinning allows you to say, take the emoji or that little sticker and make it walk with him. So as he walks across the screen, that goes across with him. Really fun, hey? So you manage, and you can do that with any of the stickers that will actually go across with the person. Let's take a look at how to do that. So you take a video that's got movement, you walking across the screen or something moving across the screen. It could be, Tickle Me Elmo. Then you add a sticker or some text that you want to go along with it. So everything from text and all the text stuff we've done, all the sticker stuff we can done, that all applies to this particular little tutorial. Then you tap and hold the object that to enter what is called pin mode. Tap and hold it and it'll come up with pin mode, and you're pinning it to a particular item that's going to walk across that screen. So it could be your fingers walking across the screen, a person walking across the screen. It could be a bird flying by or something walking on the street. If you don't like it, you can just re-enter the mode again by tapping and holding that little heart object that's there, and then it will take it back out of pinning mode. So then you don't have it following if you haven't got it quite right, and then you give it another go. This is not a difficult thing to do. It's just advanced because the whole idea of going to pinning mode is a bit different for people. They don't think in terms of making a story that's got this much interaction in it. It's got this much action going with it as well. So you can test this, you know, with your dog, you know, scratching at the front door through the glass door, or perhaps walking through the kitchen. Test it with them as they're walking by, and as you recorded them walking by, or the kids walking by, get a sticker, put it so that it stops on them at some point, tap and hold it so it goes into pin mode, and then it will then associate itself with that particular thing that's in there. So it's going to allow you to allow that object, or that bit of text, or that little emoji to follow them across the screen as well. Really fun, that one. So the best place to pin is where you're going to see it. So you've got a really busy background. It's going to be really hard for you to see something that's light. So you pick things that you're going to, stickers or text that's going to stand out. So contrast is really going to matter to you. What happens is the algorithm that works all this out, the AI engine that does this, it uses things like, it calls hard edges that have got lots of contrast between, you know, the light and the dark. So it's able to go, oh, I can see that's a surrounding of a person, so therefore I know that that's what they're trying to pin as it's walking through the screen. So it's very, very smart, but it's not going to work if you've got 50 birds all flying around. It's going to have a lot of trouble following that one bird you want to follow in a video that's got 50 birds in it. Or if you've got 15 children all running and screaming and laughing on a field, following that one person is going to be really hard for the algorithm to do on its own. So if you can find something that's got a really sort of a defined edge around, a person walking past a playing ball is really good for that. Or perhaps, you know, it's a little creepy crawly thing going across a road, or it's, you know, a bird solo walking along the top of your fence. It's easy to find those edges, so it's easy to find the sticker that will actually pin to it. Make sure too that these are things that are not necessarily moving super fast. That's going to make it a lot harder to be able to pin something to it if it's racing by on your screen. If it's coming across a little bit more slowly, then you've got the ability to be able to see that people are, that you can much more easily have something tracked along with it. So the examples here is Nick walking across the screen, and they're pinning that little heart thing that we saw before. They've got it. You're going to wait until it gets to him. So with that little tracker down the bottom, go back to the point where it actually, his head meets and that pin, touch and hold the pin. So it's going to pin to him. And it does a little bit of work in the background, goes backwards, and now it's going to walk across the screen. Really, really nifty. Another example here is, I don't know who wants to really take a photo of their toilet emptying, but you can pin a surfboard to your very, very blue watered toilet. And that allows you to look like someone's surfing in your toilet. So what it's motion pinning itself to is the blue in the background, and you stick it in that one place. Another option too would be the one on the right, which is where there's actual motion and you're trying to pin to stuff that's already in that scene that's easy to spot, like a building, person that stands out in the background. And then finally it's going to go, well, it was going to go across the pool and actually go and see the thing that was in the pool. So you can pan across different things. So it doesn't have to be something that's walking across the scene. It could be you moving a scene around. So you can then pin certain objects and words to something that is in that spot at that time. So the words with @Snyder and Story School don't appear until that particular object, being her, comes into the screen. That means you can tag things almost along the way through a video as you're panning around that one scene. A lot of fun. Got an idea here of birds walking across the street, telling you a little story about an awkward pigeon. See them trying to cross the street like a law-abiding citizen. So what they've done is they've pinned those words to that particular item, and being a fairly plain snow background there, those pigeons are really easy for the algorithm to then be in touch with and to stick with. We go to the zoom option. So we're going to zoom into something. Oh my goodness, no, I do not like clowns. Do not like clowns. Let's move on from that one. It allows you, when you're actually panning across that scene and you get to the drain, then you can have that stupid Pennywise clown thing pop up. Yeah, that's me for the night. I'm going to have some nightmares tonight on that one. In this case, as you're moving around the sky, you're adding little items such as burgers and pizzas. Here they're using the remove to look at those. I think they're bagels, pasta, pop pasta. I don't even want to know what that is. I'm on the keto diet at the moment. I'm not allowed to have pasta. Move on. Don't need to see that. Don't need that negativity in my life. This guy's going to go for a bit of a basket, and so they put a medal around his neck. So that medal is going to go along and be pinned to his motion as well. So there's pretty defined edges around him. You can see the difference between his head and the background. You can see the difference between his green suit and the green floor. There's enough contrast to be able to go, oh yeah, we know you're trying to pin this to this particular part of this guy. The second basketball one is, we're saying, well, the ball is clearly an object that can be followed. So attach a flame emoji that's turned on its side to follow that ball through, so it looks like a bit of a rocket ball going on. And as we're still on basketball, here they've pinned some items on this kid's face, put a beard on him with some eyes, so that when the scene panned around to him, then and only then do those items show up. So that's bringing us to the end of Instagram Story School. Got about 9 minutes to go. Probably a little hard to do a Q&A on this one, simply because there's a lot of stuff that could be coming up at any point with this. The main thing, I guess, with all this is to just have a play. Go into your stories. If you make a mistake and you don't want to publish it, then don't, then delete it and go again. Keep trying till you find something that's kind of fun. Nobody's going to crucify you for a story that isn't particularly over cool or is a little bit off topic or off brand. It's just one of those things where you give it a try. And if you don't want to put it necessarily out to the world, you can download it. You can save that story to your camera roll on your phone and let you share it with a few other people if you want to get their opinions on how it worked, how it looked. Was it worth it? Was this something I should have done? Or is it something I shouldn't have done? Do you put it through your marketing department if you're an employee? Or if you just look at it and you want your business partner's point of view to see if they think it's okay too, you can do that as well. And of course, once again, I'd like to invite you to the Boost with Facebook Australia group, facebook.com/groups/boost.australia. That's where you can find myself and 6 other trainers from across Australia, plus staff from Facebook themselves to help you out with the questions you may have as part of your doing business with Facebook and Instagram as a tool to grow your business. So we really want to help you use that in the best way possible. I haven't got my email address there, but if anyone needs to get in contact with me particularly, you can find me on that group. I'm a very, very frequent participant on there, and you can even tag me on there to get my attention, or you can get in touch with Business Station and they'll be more than happy to pass your details across if there's a question you'd like to find out about Instagram stories. So please get out there, get creative, and just have a lot of fun, because that's what Instagram stories are all about. It's not being quite so formal, not being quite so stuffy, and doing the stuff that's a little bit more fun about your business. You can save the beautiful stuff for the feed. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a great evening and having a great week. And for those of you who are business owners, look, I really feel your pain at the moment. There's a lot of pain out there, and I'm speaking to a lot of business owners, particularly on my travels around the Northern Territory and remote areas, that there is a lot going on. So hopefully you can get a lot more out of this series. Just go to youtube.com and then look for Business Station. You'll be able to see a lot of these free videos if you missed anything in the last week about any of the other topics we've been covering. Thank you, and have a fantastic afternoon and evening. Bye-bye.